Hi everyone, I'm Ginger Rousey with Madison County Health and host of Channel 11 Checkup. Channel 11 doesn't run commercials. As a community nonprofit TV station, they rely on donations from the public. It's super easy to donate. Go to their website, westtnpbs.org, and click on the Donate tab. Your donation stays local and helps WLJT be a community TV station for all of West Tennessee. Channel 11 is all about home.
It's all about home.
It's a celebration of the contributions of West Tennessee women. Hello, I'm Don McCory. Straight ahead on Tennessee is Talking, we're on location at the United Way's 13th annual First Ladies Luncheon. The United Way of West Tennessee puts on this event featuring over 100 ornate tablescapes. We're giving you a tour and more as Tennessee is Talking is on location from the First Ladies Luncheon, starting right now.
We are rolling. Confirm record. Can we get a mic check? Check, check. Stand by camera 2. Take 2. Stand by announcer in 3, 2.
West Tennessee PBS presents Tennessee is Talking on location. Let the conversation begin.
Thank you for joining the discussion for this special edition of Tennessee is Talking, on location for the 13th annual First Ladies Luncheon at the Jackson Fairgrounds. This popular event is put on by the United Way of West Tennessee, and it is breathtaking to see all of these elaborately decorated tablescapes. It is so great to be here with you again today.
Thank you so much.
How are we going to explain to our viewers what this event is all about and how it started?
You almost have to be here, but we're going to try to bring you in, all of our listeners, and have them feel a part today. We're expecting, between last night's preview party and today, 1,450
Oh my goodness.
people.
1,450 people. Okay. Tell us a little bit of the history about how this all started.
I started this 13 years ago at Lambeth University. It was Lambeth College then.
Yes.
And we had 334 ladies there. It's wonderful. It was the beginning of a tablescape. As a matter of fact, the speaker talked about tablescapes.
Okay.
The reason for this being named First Ladies is we had that first year, the Verna Ruffin, who is the school superintendent, Jackson Madison County school superintendent,
Okay.
and the governor's wife
Oh.
were the two first ladies. So, hence, it's named First Ladies
So
Luncheon.
everybody's a first lady today.
Everyone is a first lady. And we have a lot of first men, too, because 3 years ago, we started having waiters we have 100 waiters from throughout Jackson, from mayors to lawyers to you name it.
I have to say I was honored to be a waiter last year, so it was really good. Couldn't do it
Great.
this year because I'm doing this.
Yes,
Okay.
that's right.
So tell me, how has this event grown? This is the 13th anniversary.
13th anniversary.
So how has it grown over the 13 years, other than volume?
Look at the tables. I hope the cameras are on the tables.
Cameras are on the
They
tables.
are unreal. Somebody said, I've never let us have a first place, second place. I don't like winners and losers
No.
because everybody's a winner.
Yes.
But we do have a People's Choice Award this year. You can vote, $1 a vote, and so that will be awarded this year.
Great. Now, this is also a fundraiser, correct?
Very much a fundraiser. Our goal is $120,000.
Okay.
And it's just wonderful to have people that support not only with their attendance, but also with their financial giving, United Way.
That's great. Now, let's go back to these tables. Tell me some of the most elaborate tablescapes you've ever seen.
It's interesting that we have 5 big umbrellas this year. We've never had big umbrellas.
Really?
We have 5 throughout.
Okay.
So they're exquisite. Kent Freeman does the entry here, and it is always just a showstopper as you walk in and see the entryway. But also our master gardeners from Madison County have done the entrance across from Sands Florist. And then Morris Nursery, before you come in the front door, has done, they have hundreds of plants and furniture, outdoor furniture. So it is wonderful to see the entry. Just, you're going,
Great.
wow.
Well, we're excited to be here. Thank you so much for inviting us.
Thank you for PBS doing this.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's so good to see you.
You as well.
Let's talk about this event, okay? The 13th annual First Ladies Luncheon. What's the history behind this and how did we get here?
So the First Ladies Luncheon was started by Anita K. Archer 13 years ago. She's a fabulous woman and never stops working. And in fact, she's probably planning for next year, starting today.
Yeah, I remember something about you start planning the day after this is all over for the following year.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
So what do our viewers expect to see today?
So the big kind of featured item for the First Ladies Luncheon is all of these fabulous tables. These ladies put in a lot of work, a lot of creativity and heart into the tables. And we actually have a preview event last night where some people can come and check them out. But then today it's the big item for them to come and see the tables. And then today we'll have keynote speakers from United Way Worldwide, the Chief Marketing Officer and the Chair of the Women United Global Council. So we're excited to tie our work here on the ground locally back to the Global United Way and all of their efforts worldwide.
And from my view of these tables, some of them look unlimited. So do you have a favorite? Is there anything that is unique to this year that you haven't seen before?
It's hard to pick out a favorite because there's so many that are so detailed and just so incredible. But I will say this year seems to be the year of the umbrella.
The year of the
We
umbrella.
have at least 8 umbrellas and then several arches too. So you never know what you're going to end up with themes.
That's great. That's great. So this is a fundraiser
That's right.
for the United Way. So tell us what our donations are going to be going toward.
So this is our largest fundraising event that we do each year, and it helps support our program operations and the work that we do to support partner agencies across our 15 county service area, as well as our internal programs focused on education, financial stability, and youth opportunity. And so it helps support the work that we're doing in-house, but also the great work of so many agencies that we have the honor of supporting across the region.
And there's so many people that really appreciate the work that we do. We thank you so much for your time. We're excited to be here. Look forward to an exciting event.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, you're right, Anita, to look out at the sea of beautiful tables and faces. This is so exciting. My name is Omoye Kinney. I am the Executive Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer at United Way Worldwide. Really excited to be here with you all today. As Miss Anita Kay said, our bios are in the program book. So Jenny, my panelists here with me today, we thought it would be fun to introduce ourselves to you in a different way. So instead of us telling you everything that's in the book, how, I've been working for nonprofits in the field of marketing communications for 30 plus years, and I'm only 21 years old. We thought it would be fun to give you some, tell us some things about us that are not included in that bio. So for me, I'm going to give you one professional fact and one personal fact. So my professional fact is that in my 30-plus year career, I have a very unique journey in that I've only proactively applied for roles twice in my life. And that was when I first came out of college, and then later on in life when I decided to make a pivot in my career. But I have been fortunate to land here with you today really through building relationships. And so when I think about my leadership journey, it's all about leaning into relationships and showing up and how I show up. And that has fared well for me in my career. So again, that's one fun fact that you wouldn't find out about me by reading my bio. And then the personal one, is that I am an only child, but I come from a really huge family. So my mother is the oldest of 9 and my dad is one of 11. The fun fact is that I have 32 first cousins on my father's side, and 7 of us were all born in the same year. So although I don't have brothers and sisters, my cousins are my brothers and sisters because we were all dumped at grandma's house every Saturday anyway. But again, those are just a way for me to introduce myself to you all so you can get to know who I am. So I'm thrilled to be here with you all today. And I'll turn it over to you, Jenny.
That sounds great. Well, I am so excited to be here too. I have been looking forward to this event for months. Anita Kay gave us all the information about what we could expect and also about your community. And when we walked in yesterday, blown away. So I think we're going to have fun today to give you a little information about what Women United is, what our leadership and personal journeys are to get to where we are, but more importantly, we hope to make you laugh along the way. So my name is Jenny Holzman-Tatro, and I am an attorney for an international wind blade manufacturer, like wind turbines. But my more important, or maybe my more fun aspect of life is that I get to volunteer as the chair for Women United Global Leadership Council. So I am a volunteer with United Way Worldwide, and I actually live in Phoenix, Arizona, and have the honor of traveling around and talking about how fabulous Women United is in partnership with colleagues at the United Way Worldwide. So my two items for you, professionally, I've had 5 legal jobs, almost all of them with large corporations. So right now I'm at the Windblade company, was at a food distribution company, was at an ambulance company, was at Arizona State University. So all of these jobs have been so fun, and I've learned a lot along the way, but I actually learned from my early jobs. So my very first job was as a housekeeper. My second job was as a carnival pony ride person. I was gonna call myself a carny, but I'm not sure if you can say that anymore. So I traveled around the fairs doing the pony rides all over Washington, where I'm originally from. And then I also was a deckhand on a fishing boat in Astoria, Oregon, every summer for 5 years. So those kind of jobs helped to get me where I am today. And then my personal tidbit is I always like to think about sort of mantras or ways to live life. And so I always use YOLO as my sort of driver. So you only live once, and that makes me look at life in a different way. And the YOLO sort of characteristic is that I always raise my hand. I pretty much say yes to anything that comes my way. And so I had a couple of examples. When I was in college, I was the Arizona State University mascot, the Sparky the Sun Devil. So I said yes to that, and it was very hot and stinky. I also say yes when organizations come and say, I want your help, can you please serve on the board? So I've been a member of the junior league and in a sorority, and those sort of defining moments led me ultimately to my volunteer work with the United Way. And the next one, just very quickly, we love to travel. And so as a family, we're saying yes to getting out and about and exploring the country. In fact, the Smoky Mountains we were recently at, so thanks for creating that wonderful opportunity for our family to go and visit. And finally, I said yes to being here, and so couldn't be more thrilled to be here today. So we're going to talk a little bit about leadership today and our leadership journeys to get where we have been, either professionally or personally. We've given you a little bit of background about ourselves, but would like to start with you, Amoy, telling us a little bit about your leadership journey, how that has defined you and how you're showing up.
Well, thank you for that question.
You're
Jenny.
welcome.
Again, we're excited to be here to talk about leadership journeys. And I'm asked this question pretty regularly when I speak, particularly when I'm mentoring young women. And I always tell the story, and I mentioned it, how I have a unique journey. I've only actually applied for 2 jobs. And that really goes back to mentors. Coming out of college, I had a really strong mentor that helped to guide me, and I could go to and ask questions, and he helped to open doors for me. But when I was thinking about how I wanted to share my leadership journey for you all today, I started to think about who are the influential women in my life? Like, who are those people that were role models, not just in my home, but outside of my home? And when I really sat and thought about it at 5 o'clock this morning, because I'm brilliant at 5 a.m., I thought about Mrs. Carolyn Winbush, who was my home economics teacher when I was in the 7th grade at Russell H. Conwell Middle Magnet School in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And she was such an instrumental part of my life because at 13 years old, you don't think about someone as a mentor, but that's essentially what she was doing. She was literally teaching me life lessons, as she was also teaching me how to bake coconut cakes and cookies and learn how to use a sewing machine. Not that I use those skills today, but through those conversations before school, after school programs, she was teaching me about how do I learn to show up as a leader? How do I carry myself in an authentic way? And some of the key virtues that stood out for me, which I have built my leadership foundation on, are trust, transparency, accountability, and really being true to my authentic self. So as I sit here today, X number of years later, I go all the way back to 1985, sitting in that home economics room, talking to Ms. Carolyn Wimbush. And I will tell you that she is still a prominent role model for me today. I check in with her regularly. She still lives in Philadelphia, so whenever I go back to visit my parents, I always try to make sure that I get to spend some time with Ms. Carolyn Wimbush. So thank you to all of the Ms. Carolyn Wimbushes that are in this room today. So Jenny, your turn. Tell us about your leadership journey.
Sure. So I haven't always loved being an attorney. And so I heard lawyers laughing in the room. You know, I see you. So about like maybe 3 years out of law school, I was asked if I would come and teach a course at Arizona State University for the lawyers. And so I ultimately went on to faculty at ASU. And as part of that responsibility or role, I was invited to join the faculty on stage when graduations occurred for the students. So one year, really, again, sort of at the beginning of this experience, I went onto the stage and the keynote speaker was a judge, a very prominent judge, actually served on the Ninth Circuit. And I had actually interviewed with her for a role when I was in law school. So I went to law school in New York, I flew to Arizona, interviewed with her, and flew back and did not get to the job for a lot of different reasons, which I'll share. But I always was in awe of her. And so I go to this graduation, she's up there talking, providing words of wisdom to all of the law students as they graduate and they go out into the community. And she starts off by telling a story about law students that she had interviewed previously, people she had not selected for jobs. So
you know where this is going.
You know where this is going. So she talked about a man who showed up to the interview in a cowboy hat and boots, which I thought was cool, but apparently she didn't. She talked about a woman who came in and wasn't maybe up to standards to her, didn't want her, this young girl, to represent her office from a legal perspective. And that person had been in the junior league. That person had been in a sorority. That person had been Sparky the Sun Devil at Arizona State University. And so I realized she's talking about me as she's sharing a story about a woman she would not support or bring into her law office for a variety of reasons, academic, social, or otherwise. And at that moment, while I was steaming, I realized that I would never do that to someone else. And so my leadership journey started with that I committed at that moment to help all women anywhere that wanted to do something, be something great, and with their lives. Thank you. And so I think in many ways I still have a chip on my shoulder. Maybe that's why I say yes, so I can be like, I can do it. I can do anything. And so that experience actually led me to the United Way because I felt like I had been doing this professional journey for a long time. It wasn't like super fun for me. And so when I made the decision that I would not be like that I would be something better than that for my community, for women everywhere, I found United Way and Women United like right after that. And I really dedicated my life to the mission and the vision that we have for United Way.
So if you have one of these tables, what would represent your centerpiece? What would your story be?
All right, so I have had these different careers along the way, right? And so I had a boss one time tell me, like, too much volunteering in the community. You should focus on your professional career. And I thought, I like that idea. I like focusing maybe on my job, but I really find joy and passion when I'm volunteering and giving to others. And so I was talking to my husband about it, and he brought home a little plaque that said, "Don't dehorn your unicorn." Don't dehorn your unicorn. And I thought it was such a great way to say, I still have to be me. I still get to wear purple on stage with crazy shoes when I come to events. I still get to laugh when I'm around my legal colleagues who don't. I still get to be silly with my kids. And I'm not going to change because someone suggests that I should do something different than being authentically me. And so I think that my table would be filled with unicorns and things that say, "Don't dehorn your unicorn," and I would be wearing unicorns on my head too. That would be it. But I'd also put wine on there and books on there and tennis balls and all those other things. So we'd have an eclectic table, that's for sure. What about you?
It definitely would be a fun table.
It would be a fun table.
Yes,
It would be a fun table. Tell us about your table. What would you have on there?
My table, again, caused me to sort of think back, what are the things that I'm excited about? What am I passionate about? And I think my table would start with some sort of representation of being an explorer. I go back to my childhood. I grew up in the inner city in Philadelphia, North Philadelphia to be exact. And so, then I'm a natural born storyteller. I've been a writer my entire life and career. And so I remember growing up, my parents was they always made sure I was introduced to things like outside of my community. And my father used to say to me all the time, "See beyond what you see when you walk out your front door. There's more out there in the world." So I just became really curious about the world. I was always fascinated around geography. So I'm always like looking at the globe, like I'm going to visit this place one day and that place one day. And so at a very young age, you think about it, this young girl living in North Philadelphia, and I'm walking around saying to people, when I grow up, if there are 7 continents, I'm going to visit 5 continents. Now, my other 32 cousins are looking at me like, "Yeah, right, I'm away. Go sit in a corner." But I was taught to dream big, and I always wanted to travel the world. And so when I think about what my table would be a representation of the explorer in me, bringing out the child in me that had these big hopes and dreams and just wanted to step foot on every continent. And so far, I have surpassed that goal of visiting 5 continents. And last year, when I went to Australia, work for the United Way. So one part that I skipped is that as I'm developing in my career and thinking about all of this, I realized that working for nonprofits gives me the opportunity to align my personal passion with my career goals. And so working for global organizations, now I'm able to travel the globe, and they pay for it sometimes too, right? So when I went to Australia last year, I surpassed that goal, and I actually stepped foot on my 6th continent. So when I think about what the theme of my table would be, I thought about it and I was like, my table theme would be from North Philly to New Zealand.
I love that. Well, I also want to say, you guys heard her say that she was going to be bringing things my way, right? And that I say yes. I'll be saying yes on my invite to Antarctica.
Absolutely.
So thank you for that in advance. I say yes.
Absolutely. So Jenny, if you wouldn't mind just kind of talking to us about Women United. You mentioned it a few times, but just talk to us about what it is, why you got involved, and how women in this room could continue to carry that weight.
Perfect. So I'm going to point you all to your program, because I think it actually describes Women United so perfectly. It's maybe like 4 pages in, but it says, when women unite, communities thrive. Like, that's it. It's that simple. It's about bringing together women like those that are in the room in order to identify issues that need to be solved, to advocate for solutions for things that your community needs. It's about being inclusive in that leadership, and it's about lifting up others in order to do great things for those that are the most vulnerable in your community. And the next page from Community Bank, if you're here, love this. It says, because of women like you, each of you, because you lead, because you give, because you care, our communities are stronger. And that's what Women United is about. It's a catalyst for actually starting the group. And it's about bringing collectively impact in a way that's bigger than the local community. So what's happening here, the 1,200 of you that are in this room, you're going to go out and make an incredible impact here and throughout Tennessee. But then when we have that same sort of forward momentum from Arizona or from Philadelphia or Washington, D.C., when everybody's working towards the same goals, we can have an even greater impact. So I wanted to share just a couple things that Women United and the Council specifically does in order to make that a reality. The first is member engagement. So you'll hear a lot about that from your local community. So how do we get people like all of you together to build relationships and connections? Because once relationships and connections are made, it's easy to do the work. When I know you are interested in something that I'm interested in, we can collaborate and do great things together. We also spend a lot of our time talking about education and advocacy and policy change. So we spend time at the Capitol, both locally and in Washington, D.C., really making sure that our elected officials hear our voice. As women leaders, we may have a different perspective than if you went in the room with other colleagues and peers. And so making sure our voice is heard when important decisions are being made. We also have global collaboration, so really wanting to think about the connections between women in Tennessee and women in South Korea, or women in Arizona and women in India. There's a lot that we have where if we collaborate and focus, we can have incredible impact in the spaces that are most meaningful, again, in our local community. So this global collaboration sort of takes it up a notch. Recognition and celebration. So we should be having fun and talking about all the great things that you all as women here locally and beyond are doing to literally change lives in your communities. We should celebrate that, and that's what we do. We also provide chapter support, so just administratively figuring out how to make sure that calendar invites go out and that you know the emails of the folks who want to be doing this type of work. So it's building a net to bring together the 70,000 women strong that we have women in Women United around the globe. And then finally, it is about philanthropy and fund development. We can't do the work if we don't have the funds. And so we've got to raise investment dollars, and that's how I look at this type of work. It's not about donations to a cause, that's important, but I like to say it's an investment in making sure that your community is better, and your dollar helped to make that happen. And so you all are here doing that today. So thank you on behalf of the United Way, Women United, for making an impact locally for those that need you the most. And the last thing maybe I'll say is that Women United and the 70,000 women who identify as being a part of that community really focused on economic development for women in our local communities. And so that means talking about education initiatives, financial literacy, entrepreneurship. It's making sure that women and families have support that they need so that they can be successful, and then our entire community will thrive. And so the community impact area is where we spend all of our time just focused and dedicated on that really, really critical work. And so I thank you in advance for everything that you all will be doing to unite the power of women. You already have it in this booklet saying that you do. And we know that when women unite, we can get more done. Thank you.
That does it for this special edition of Tennessee's Talking, on location from the United Way's 13th Annual First Ladies Luncheon. Our thanks to the United Way for letting WLJT bring this wonderful event to television. If you want to watch this episode again or share it with a friend, all WLJT programs can be found on the PBS app, the West Tennessee PBS YouTube channel, and on westtnpbs.org. And you can keep the conversation by following WLJT on social media. This is Don McCory. I thank you for joining us today. Until next time, keep on talking Tennessee.
What does being local mean to you? Hello, I'm Peter Knoll, the General Manager and CEO of Channel 11. For the West Tennessee PBS team, it means being as local as our funding allows. We don't sell commercials, we rely on your donations to bring you local programs and all PBS shows. Consider making a monthly donation to Channel 11 for just $12.50. For the cost of just one meal at a restaurant, you could help us be even more local. Donate today.